Hey everyone, welcome to some new r/MaliciousCompliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called, Use this template for it. I used to work in a call center for a while as first level support. I did 3 different projects. This was my last one, as support for a pharmaceutical company. It was general stuff, solve technical issues, and if it's not possible, then send it to second level teams. Our team leader got feedback from the second level teams that we do not share enough information when sending a ticket to them. So they created a template to use when forwarding a ticket. The template was very generic and was only good for 2 types of issues to handle. So I did not use it that much. I was good at what I was doing, so no complaints about me anyway. The team leader approached me to use the template every time I forward a customer case. I told him that the template is basically useless for most of the issues, that's why I didn't use it. He insisted to use it anyway. Cue the malicious compliance. From now on I use the template for all tickets. I forwarded and it really increased the time to log a case. I used some self-created templates previously so I could do it as fast as I can. But because now I had to fill in all the unnecessary tickets, ticket times went from 3 to 5 minutes up to 10 to 20, depending on the case. This made my performance go down a bit, but I didn't care. They told me to use it all the time. In the end, I found out that if a keyword is used, the report shows I used the template. I recreated my templates including the keyword so I could log tickets fast again. But using their template took a lot of time. So I spent my time in ticket handling for the same amount of time, but not actually doing anything, just relaxing. Perks of working from home, I suppose. They always pushed us to work as fast as we could, as the volume was high, but whatever. They asked me to use their stupid template anyway. In the end I was barely doing any calls as I was on my notice, but they did not fire me as they needed me to handle the workload. The next story is called, You Asked for a New Fence. Our neighbors can be funny buggers. Nice one minute, moody the next. There was a rickety old fence between our properties which I owned. We'd patched it up a few times, but didn't really have the money to totally replace 80 feet of fences in post at that time. The neighbors have complained a few times about our fence. They have 10 dogs and have spent a lot of money on landscaping their garden. They demanded that we replace the fence because they need a secure boundary for the dogs, but made it very clear they were not contributing to the costs. It's not unreasonable, but the way they demanded rubbed me up the wrong way. Generally, in the UK there are no HOA rules on old builds. So I can replace the wooden fence with anything we like as long as it's on our land and is no more than 2 meters high. So last month we got a quote and arranged for a firm to replace the fencing. I informed the neighbors and picked a day they would be at work so as to not ruin the surprise. When they got home, they found the wooden fence and wooden posts had been replaced with 6 feet concrete posts and a wall of concrete panels. Now they look out of the kitchen onto what resembles the Berlin Wall. I also made sure the smooth face of the concrete panels are pointing towards us. We have bushes along our side so we wouldn't see it anyway, but their side is right next to their patio area. They haven't approached us about it yet, but my husband told me he could see the wife in her garden from his office window and she had a face like thunder. We got the material cheap because my husband got a very competitive staff discount as part of the contract for his new job. The third story is called, Have Fun Juggling It. I used to work at a supermarket and at 9 AM on a Saturday the following went down. Good morning, would you like a bag? The customer sarcastically, No, I'm going to carry all of these by themselves. It may have been the underpay, the rude tone or the fact that I was just so tired of customers being nasty, but I decided to go along with it. Okay sir, no problem. I then proceeded to scan all of his shopping and charge him. The man paid and stood there blankly staring at his groceries for a moment before looking at me. Where are my bags? Oh, I'm so sorry sir, I thought you said you were going to carry them. Well, obviously I can't carry all of this without a bag. Oh, okay, well in that case. I then proceeded to go through the usual single-use or reusable bag spiel, and then, wouldn't you know it, we were out of the bags he wanted. So I had to call a manager over to bring some more bags to me, which always took ages in the supermarket. The customer then had to dig out his wallet and card to pay a tiny amount for some bags, and then I handed them to him with a smile and receipt. And I watched while he bagged his own groceries, scolding the whole time. Normally I would scan and bag, but as he didn't want bags to start with, I didn't offer and he didn't ask. All in all, a 5-minute transaction took a good 15 minutes and he never pulled that with me again. I have no idea what he thought would happen, or he watched me scan everything and pile it up in a very obviously non-bagged heap, but hey, he said no bags. The next story is called Giant Barbecue. I was an eager to please kid working my first real job as a busboy in a steakhouse. I would help out anyone anytime to prove I could do other things. We did large steaks. The smallest steak was the 1 pound filet mignon. They are no longer in business, but were called UR Cooks. It was a guy's place, where you picked your steak and cooked it on an open grill in the middle of the dining room. I would be scheduled as a busboy and end up doing any job that was needed. I would often change the blades in the meat saw so the meat cutter could just start on the next cut. T-bones used different blades than sirloin. The meat cutter liked me, and one slow night had me cut the sirloins. He joked with the managers that they needed to give me a raise as I was getting as good as him. I would get scheduled as a busboy to come in hours early to help with prep. I was paid as a busboy. This went on for months. I didn't mind the pay difference as I would get tipped out by the servers and often would help customers cook their steaks and get tips then too. As a kid, it didn't dawn on me that I was losing money. Now, this is where the fun starts. When you get a large uncut sirloin, you will never get it cut exactly. The jade prevents that. So the end pieces or scraps from any cut were packaged up and sold to the employees for 25 cents a pound. Typically there would be half a pound of raise per group cut. We would cut 10 sirloins a day. The older employees got the first chance and buy the excess. The day before Father's Day there was a huge fight and the meat cutter was told to take a few days off and decide if he really wanted to work there. He was then taken off the schedule. I was on the schedule as the busboy and was scheduled to come in early as usual. I had only been helping and had never run the area on my own. About an hour into it, the manager noticed I was too slow and that we would never be ready to open, so she had me help her. She took over cutting the steaks and I just prepped the trays, changed the blades, the normal. Now I only did what I was told, and when I suggested changing the blades, she told me there's no time and kept cutting. Using the wrong blade on the sirloin tears it instead of cutting it. She would tear off a chunk and toss it to me. I tried several times to stop her, but she wasn't listening to me and told me that if I didn't quit trying to slow her down, she would send me home. So I didn't try to stop her anymore. She cut 15 sirloins and was proud of how she had less waste than normal. I had everything as prepped as I could and she turned and saw the mess. There was not a single steak that we could put out. All of it had to go to waste. The next day I was told I was fired for ruining all the steaks. There were all 4 managers there, as well as the owner. The owner told me I would never be a meat cutter anywhere with as bad as I had done. He then asked me what I had to say for myself. I turned around and pulled the work schedule off the wall and handed it to him while asking him to check the records for my employment. I then asked him if there is no meat cutter assigned, who is to do the cutting. And then I asked why he would believe anyone who would put the lowly busboy in charge of cutting thousands of dollars worth of steak. It took about 5 minutes for him to get the whole story out of the manager. She got fired, I got promoted to assistant meat cutter, and as a bonus I was given 100 pounds of deformed sirloin to take home. 16-year-old me put on a hell of a barbecue party at the apartments. The next story is called Shirt Policy. When I was 15, I started working for a particular clown who owns a fast food restaurant. When I first started working, the manager assumed I was 16 and I was given a red polo shirt to wear during my shifts. There was a hierarchy to the shirts at this restaurant. White was for anyone 15 and younger. You got a red shirt once you were 16 or over. Black shirts were for crew trainers. And the full button-down shirts were for managers. All of the shirts were made of a decent fabric except for the white shirt, which was very thin and practically see-through. About a month after I started working there, the manager called me into her office and asked why I had lied to her about my age. I told her I had never once said to her that I was only 15, so I never really lied about it. She told me I had to hand in my red shirt and exchange it for a white one, which I did. I wore the white one for about a week, and that's when I noticed after the first wash the fabric became even thinner and the shirt was practically see-through. As a heavy-set individual, if I were not wearing an undershirt, you would have seen all of my hairy manly glory underneath this sorry excuse for a shirt. I asked, since I had already been wearing a red shirt for a month and the shirt color really didn't mean much, could I get my old red shirt back? I was told that it was company policy to follow the shirt rules, and I was denied my old red shirt. Cue the malicious compliance. There was a rule stating I had to wear my see-through company-issued shirt for all of my shifts. There was no rule stating what I had to wear underneath. My dad had recently returned from Mexico and had brought me the most touristy shirt from his trip. There were 4 panels on this shirt. The first had a worm and a shot that said 1 tequila. The second, the same worm. Second shot, much drunker, and said 2 tequila. The third, the same worm. Third shot, very drunk, and said 3 tequila. And as I'm sure you have deduced, the fourth is the worm passed out and it says floor. I decided this was the perfect undershirt for a 15-year-old register worker at the Clown to wear underneath his see-through shirt. I wore it for 1 shift before the manager came up to me. She told me how much she didn't appreciate the fact that I wore such a vulgar shirt underneath my work uniform. I politely told her nobody would know what I was wearing underneath my company-issued work shirt if they weren't see-through. When I went to clock out that day, they had a brand new unused red polo shirt just waiting for me. I was told to wear the red shirt from that point forward and to turn in my white shirt. The last story is called Not Long Enough. So I'll first say university is hard, but bad profs make it 10 times harder. My literature prof in particular made a point that he is very stringent on grading. Everything needed to be done exactly as asked and you must use what you learn in class. This isn't uncommon, but it was like he was railroading us to doing everything his way. Which is ironic, since like I said, it's a literature class. Anyways, on a recent assignment, I'll admit I didn't exactly put my heart and soul into it. It was just a book report, but I didn't care much for the book, so I sorta just skimmed it. Anyway, after I got my grade back, I discovered that I had gotten a C, and the only notes he gave were, "Your assignment isn't long enough, describe your thinking process." Needless to say, I was thoroughly annoyed by this. I didn't put my all into it, but it's not like I didn't try. So fine, you want a longer assignment, you'll get one. The next assignment was on Shakespeare, and we were allowed to use any of his works. I had done Romeo and Juliet so many times it had become boring, but that also meant I was really good at it. More specifically, writing about it. The next week of my life was spent writing a very intricate and long essay detailing a surrealist perspective of Juliet and her ending. Actually, I'm pretty proud of it too. The best part though was that it was 12 pages. I literally detailed every tiny piece I could squeeze out. I included dictionary definitions, references to modern literature, and even a whole segment claiming it was a retelling of Hamlet. It was mostly just me trying to make as many statements as possible. Anyways, since everything is online now, I handed it in through the Dropbox system they have. Feeling pretty content with myself, I decided to look at some of the other submissions. The longest one I found was 4 pages, also about Romeo and Juliet, and I instantly became even more pleased with myself. So, grading time comes around, and it seems to be taking a little longer than usual. Actually, I got my grades for that assignment a week late. I checked mine and was shocked to see no notes, but I did get an A. However, in the notes for the whole class, I found it said, "Please keep future assignments below 3 pages unless specified." Pretty sure I won that battle. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. And I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.